Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build for the Artificer Artillerist in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a modded class made by Echo0000. Really excited to go over this one because it's extremely strong if you play it smart, which I'll show you how to do in this video. So with this we get to choose a few cantrips now. I think some of the best ones to go with would be something like the Thorn Whip because you can pull targets closer to you. And even guidance is nice to give a bonus to ability checks or firebolt if you have explosive set up. But the big bread and butter of this is our ranged weapon attacks. So with this, we also wouldn't mind having magic missile because sometimes you just can't hit a target and this will allow us to hit them. And then also shield is nice to increase your armor class by 5 and not taking any damage from magic missile. So we'll go with those there. As for the infusements, I think it's best to go with adding additional armor class as well as adding a +1 and +2 to our ranged weapon attacks. This is going to allow us to hit more times than not, so this is a good choice. And also the enhanced arcane focus can also be a decent choice if you want to focus more on spells, but we'll go with the enhanced weapon and enhanced defense there. So we're going with the artillerist class here, which gives us the eldritch cannon. Now we can place down our eldritch cannon on the ground, or we can attach it to our ranged weapon, which will deal additional damage, and it's pretty cool. The mod creator is working on a gun for this, so just stay tuned, that'll come soon. We also get repeating shot, which can shoot twice with your ranged weapon as a bonus action using an infusement. We can also get this to shoot 3 times, so that becomes really strong. And now for our ability scores, I think it's best to go full on our intelligence here, so 18 intelligence. But we also want a good amount of dexterity, so we're going to go into dexterity. You could also go 18 dexterity early on if you want to go that route. It's entirely up to you. We could go 16 intelligence and then go high into our dexterity, take that up to 18. And then go dump our strength, put the rest into our stats like that. So 18 dex, 14 constitution, 16 intelligence, and 10 wisdom. Wisdom saves are the most common one, so it's nice to have that high. I also like to go into persuasion as far as skill proficiencies, especially if you're going to be the face of the party. I'll be going over gear as well as combat at the end of this video, so I'll show you the build guide here first, taking you through all the best choices. So at level 2 we get to pick some inventions and further spells. I also like to have Thunderwave. This is just a game changer because you can sometimes just knock enemies right off the ledge, so recommend going with that. Healing word can be nice to pick up down to allies, although it can be counterspelled, so something like Longstrider is also quite nice to go with. And for our inventions, there's 2 that stand out really great to us. Arcane precision, so add your intelligence modifier to ranged weapon attack rolls, so we're not going to miss our shots as much, which is really nice. I also like to be able to get infusement, so this at short rest will give you 1 infusement back. We use infusements a lot. Repeating shot uses them, so it's important to have a lot of them. Infusement instinct can also be nice. When you have an infusement, you can cast a spell using infusement at the first turn of combat without using infusement, which is per battle, which is really nice. There's a couple other really good ones. I also like reactive shield. When you hit with a spell that needs a dex save, you can use your shield to half or negate the damage, which is extremely effective and good all along the time. Repeating burst is also good, but we get to pick some other ones as we go further through this, so I'll show you those best choices as we continue. We get another arcane jolt charge here at level 3, and we get some subclass features with our spells deal additional 1d4 of damage, and our arcane firearm deals additional 1 force damage, which will scale up as we level. I like to take Scorching Ray. It just fits the thematics of this build. Shatter can be good too, or Mel's Acid Arrow, just I guess for thematic purposes. And for our proficiencies, hand crossbows is the way to go, because hand crossbows allows us to attack quite frequently, so I think that this is a good choice, although you can go with heavy crossbows if you prefer. Now once we get to level 2 here, or level 4 here, we get to pick a feat and a couple spells, mirror image being a very effective one, increasing our armor class by 9, so we're basically unhittable at that point. I'd recommend increasing our spell attack rolls here. And you can also give dexterity checks our intelligence modifier, or give a strength saving throw checks intelligence modifier as well. But also gaining advantage of concentration can be nice too. It lasts until long rest. And for our ability score improvement, taking dexterity up to 20 is kind of an ideal way to go. At level 5 we get some more choices here, and we get our subclass feature, repeating shot with bonus actions and arcane jolt, which further enhances our ability to use it, so that's really nice. Now we get another cantrip. Shocking Grass can be quite useful, and we don't get the leveled spells until next level for level 3 spells. So you can just go with something else here, and we do get a lot of spell selection, which is pretty nice. So again, take what you want. Sanctuary and Healing Word can be good for a bit of ancillary support here. Now we get to at level 6, we got our awesome spells like Fireball and Lightning Bolt. Those are 2 to highly recommend taking. Conjure Barrage is great too. This will use your weapons damage plus slashing damage, so you can go with that if you want to take something else. Infusements, we get new ones here, restoring level 3 spell slot. Once per combat, reflect any range attack for 3 turns, and then add additional weapon roll and radiant damage to attacks, and cast Misty Step. That's super good. So Misty Step or the level 3 spell back. Level 3 spell back at this level is really effective, so I highly recommend that route. Restore Arcane Jolt after hitting the same enemy with 3 repeating shots can help you against some boss fights, and gain Arcane Synergy for 3 turns is also quite nice. Infusement Calibration, or Infusement Instinct, one of these two you can choose. Also, I like to go with additional reaction points, or being able to hide our allies, which is really nice. All allies within 9 meters. And I'll show you how to make this pretty overpowered. So we also get ourselves a cantrip here, Elemental Infusement, add a 1d4 elemental damage to your ranged weapon. It's really nice, and I'll show you how we can abuse that. Now we get to choose some spells here, and I like Glyph of Warding as well as Lightning Bolt. They just also fit thematically, but just help us out in the long run. And for our weapon choice here, there's a few good ones that we can go with. It's always a good idea to have rapier proficiency because there's some really good ones that use spellcasting modifier. Also going with like great axes if you want to go for theme purposes. Short swords are effective, tridents, etc. We can also take ourselves medium armor proficiency here, which is actually quite nice to have, so we'll go with that too. At level 8, we get to choose another choice in spell. We get some level 4 spells like Ice Storm, which are really, really useful. I think this is one of the best crowd control spells that doesn't really require any concentration. We'll also take our free Misty Step and our feat. Taking an ability score improvement to take up our intelligence can be nice because we add this to our attack rolls, and it's our main spellcasting modifier, so that is a good choice to go with. However, you can add in things like the Savage Attacker if you want. We get another Arcane Jolt here, and we get a subclass feature, Repeating Shot, now have 3 shots. Huge, big damage boost. And we're going to want to use that pretty often, so we get to choose a few more spells. I like to take Elemental Weapon, although this does require concentration, so that is a little bit of a downside. Also, taking Haste can be really effective. And other spells like even Invisibility can be pretty effective. I'm going to go with Elemental Weapon just because we can add more damage to our attacks, and we get to choose another proficiency, so even Heavy Crossbows can be decent. Again, it's your choice here what you think works best. And then once we get to level 10 here, we get to choose another 2 inventions and 2 new spells, with things like Cloud Kill and Cone of Cold being some of the best. This is good if you have a Necromancer style build alongside this because it won't hit your zombies, and this just creates chaos with ice surfaces. Now we get to choose another infusement, so I like this one, which will prevent us from getting hit with ranged weapon attacks. And then for our inventions, getting the critical surge here to give us 1 arcane jolt per critical, and then also giving us 1 arcane jolt per 3 turns. Very effective, especially in some longer fights. That can be very nice. Once we get to level 11, we get some more proficiencies, and our Eldritch Cannon buffs up again. So we get to choose from a decent spell slot selection here. It's again your choice. Grease can be good for crowd control without a high spell requirement. Also, Banishing Smite is extremely effective. This is a ranged weapon attack that deals force damage. You can't use it while being hasted. However, it's very strong, so don't neglect it. I also wouldn't recommend. I would recommend getting like heavy armor proficiency because sometimes it's just good to have that heavy armor. And at level 12 here, we get to choose some more spells. And again, we don't get level 6 spells, so our selection is a little bit, it's a little different, but we still get some good ones here. And we get another infusement slot here, so add homing to weapon if you really want to. And for our final one, alert for a +5 initiative is really nice. You can also go with the crossbow expert. Whenever you make crossbow attacks within melee range, attack rolls do not have disadvantage. What's nice about this is you can use your crossbows at close range and still deal massive damage. And in addition, we can use light armor. The ballist armor worked really good here because we can use the ballist armor and add on double damage to all of our piercing damage. And I'm also using the sharp spear of the evening here, which I think is the best one for this build. It just makes it the most powerful version because we can hide in darkness and become pretty much invincible. So with this, we got our ballist armor, +2 initiative, and makes anyone vulnerable to piercing damage if they're not resistant or immune to it. Increased armor class from the cloak and the boots protection. I also like having the snowburst ring here because we can create ice surfaces and we can add ice damage to our attacks at any time. Killer Sweetheart for a critical hit, amulet of greater health. Also using a shield can be really good, so we get 26 armor class here, which is pretty great. And you can see it looks cool with this all together. Helldusk gloves to boost our spell attack rolls, spell save DC, and additional fire damage. Now I would recommend also having Shadowheart here, or have anyone really take the Drake Throat Glaive, and then it gets the Draconic Elemental Weapon. We can add the Elemental Cold Weapon to our attacks. However, there's another little bonus we can do. If you pretend like you're gonna do a crossbow attack, this will actually apply it to your crossbow. So we can go with our cold damage, apply this to ourselves, and when we do that, when we do melee or ranged attacks, we'll apply cold damage, which will create ice surfaces, which will slow down the enemy. So this becomes really effective really quickly because we can crowd control like no other with this. And I'll show off what this can look like in combat. You can also go with really any other armor if you get full proficiencies, so your choice. I'm also using the Hellfire hand crossbow as well as the Nair Misser for the force damage. These are just the best, and we can also hide with this. And the Sharp Spear of the Evening allows us to deal additional damage when we're whenever we're hidden and on hidden targets, and this can actually get pretty crazy. So I'll show you what this all looks like in combat. So before we go into combat, it's nice to buff up, so you can add obviously your enhanced weapon to yourself. This is going to be effective to have as it increases your rolls. Also, applying Long Strider to yourself is really nice, so you can go with this to give yourself increased movement speed. If you want, you can add your you can add this to the damage rolls here. So if you want to go with that, you can apply like extra cold damage to yourself, which is really nice. Elemental Infusement Cold. I'd also recommend if you got someone that can haste yourself to apply haste, because obviously haste is really good, so you may as well have it active if you can. And I'll just show you there. You can also apply haste yourself, but I want to be able to use Banishing Smite to show off the full power of this build. So before you even get into combat, it's best to lay down your Eldritch Cannons if you can. So we can go ahead and we got his pistol form there. It's a little bit out of combat, but I guess it may get itself drawn into combat somehow. Now, what this will look like in terms of fighting, we got some targets here that will go target. I guess I can always plop down my Eldritch Cannon, so we get 2 of them, which is cool. So we got our Eldritch Cannon here. I'll just move out of the way, and Conjure Barrage being a pretty effective way to attack. So you got your ranged weapon attacks here, and even an upcast version of it. So you can blast away at them with this attack. Unfortunately, I was close enough. I don't know why I did that. But we got a repeating shot here. So what's nice about repeating shot is we can hit pretty hard with this. So I guess, so we'll just apply it to ourselves here, and then with that we get our ability to attack. So I guess we'll just end the turn there. Missed it, but we'll just wait for the enemies to come towards us before we get acting crazy with it. And you can see we got our Eldritch Cannon up here, which can attack. It is weak to lightning damage. It doesn't show that there, but that is one thing to keep in mind. Now, we got ourselves the ability to act with it, and you get the Force Blast here, or also Flamethrower, which we can do in a cone. Pretty cool. And also got the ability to give temporary health, but we'll just go with our blasting here, which has the pushback too, which is nice. So you can see it hits really hard. I like it. It's fun. You can also add it to your ranged weapon attack, but it's better to have the little cannon there, as it just does more damage that way. So I'll now show off what this can do. We got our other cannon that's too far away to be able to act. That's fine. And then we can go ahead with a flamethrower here. Hit both of them with fire damage. The Eldritch Blast is pretty much the optimal choice here. But I messed with my Conjure Barrage here. I'll show you what that looks like. With ice surfaces, so we can create ice around the target. That took out 2 of them. That was really effective. And then we also have ourselves Banishing Smite. So you can use this to, if you don't take it out, it's going to banish them. But it'll likely, oh, we got a critical miss. Let's re-roll that. Boom. 68 force damage. We got the ice damage on top of that. That'll pretty much take out anyone. So it's really strong. And then we got ourselves the ability to act with that again. So I guess it lops both the Eldritch Cannons down on top of each other. She's going to come in. And I'll show this against a bunch of enemies too, so that you get an idea what's like the peak version of this looks like. So I guess we'll just go with the ranged weapon attack there. And just continue up with another attack. And you can see we got ice surfaces laid down, so that's really good. And she was goofy and ran away and ended up slipping on the ice. So that's exactly why we have the ice infusement on our weapons. We can just completely end them like that. And now I'll show you what this looks like in a larger combat encounter. I forgot to mention that the repeating shot's actually on the left hand side there, so check your radial wheel of playing on console. Another thing to buff up with is the mirror image. We can get our armor class up really high. You can see there 37 armor class. And then with our haste applied, we can actually take this even further. So if we get Gale in here to drop the haste again, just to show off what's fully possible with this, we can get our armor class up to 39. And if we went with the ring of protection, that would take it to 40. And then we're just using light armor. So this obviously can go a lot higher if we wanted it to. But in order of getting the most damage out of this. I guess I'll take everyone else out of combat just to show off what this can mean at full capacity. So to start combat off with a bang, we'll just go with a Cone of Cold here to hit a bunch of targets and then also create some ice surfaces around them. And took out, unfortunately, some civilians there, but Cone of Cold is going to be a big damage for us, especially if we can get targets in range, because with that we can just hit multiple people. As you can see, we can line it up perfectly. We can get a lot done with this, so that's the fun part about Cone of Cold. Actually, we had a better shot at the start here. We also got ourselves Fireball, so anytime that you want to hit multiple targets, Fireball is kind of your best choice, so we'll drop that right there. And then we can also go with our repeating shots too if we got ourselves an action. So I guess we also have offhand attacks here, which are pretty effective, so we can use this for just picking off targets from range. As you can see there, I was able to take one of them out, which is really nice. So that is effective. And repeating shot mastery you can use with bonus action and arcane jolts, so always have that equipped here as well. And then we also got ourselves a free level 3 spell, so you can use those toggled on or off. And again, with the Eldritch Cannons, this Force Blast being your best damage option is nice because you can just hit the enemy around and get them in positions that you want them in, or potentially knock them away from where you really anywhere. You can knock them off of ledges and stuff, which is pretty effective. So that's nice to have as well. So if there's any particularly difficult targets, it's best to remove them first with things like your force push there. They kept command groveling me. That's why there's blood everywhere, because we were getting blasted. And we lost our haste because we got commanded so many times. But yeah, we got the free cast for level 6 or level 3 spell here, so we can use that against anyone. I would recommend a Fireball in particular, or even the upcast and Melf's Acid Arrow can be nice. Scorching Ray is also pretty effective at times too, and we also got ourselves the Cone of Cold as a long range spell option here. But Melf's Acid Arrow is a pretty good spell. I guess I'll just drop it there. Then we hit Gale and took them out. Perfect. And then we can use our repeating shot here to be able to take them out. So I guess I didn't show that off till the end, but that's the repeating shot. As you can see, with damage riders, it can be very strong. So I'd recommend going with that. It does use your arcane jolt, so that is something to keep in mind. But you can see here it hits 3 times, so boom, boom, boom. Very nice. So let's get ourselves into another fight here and show off what that can do. But you can use it as an action or a bonus action, so you can toggle that off to use the action version of it. And it's great because if you have a target that's really low on health, you can just blast them once with it, and it'll create those ice surfaces, although they're melting, unfortunately. But yeah, really effective. Also, if you want a multi-class in the Rogue Thief, you can get an extra bonus action to be able to do more repeating shots. So that gets pretty crazy at higher levels, especially if you're using the level 20 class mod. But the flamethrower here is being one of the fun ones, and then also the repelling blast here can give you some pretty nice damage. As you can see, it was able to knock them out unconscious, so that's effective. Having those down instead of the, of course, command, instead of upgrading your pistol, can be pretty effective. So I'd recommend doing it that way instead, just to give yourself a little bit extra damage. So very effective. And you can see here we're going to use another repeating shot to be able to blast them, and boom, miss. But yeah, we'll go with the repeating mastery, and then we can go with the bonus action version, so we can get 6 shots off, and that's usually all it takes. So repeating shot, Eldritch pistols, it's very strong. This is the artillerist of the Artificer. It's a mouthful to say, but let me know your thoughts in the comments, or if you have any questions, let me know what build guide you'd like to see next. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. Shouts out to Echo0000 for making this mod. It's fantastic. I'll see you all in the next video.